Okay, so Assalamualaikum and good morning. Kita tunggu kawan you masuk dululah. Okay, kita habiskan finish our second part of 1.4 on second derivative test. Then kita akan habislah topik 1 for lecture. Next week lecture tentulah. Okay, yesterday you learned on first derivative test. So first derivative test, that means you want to know the nature of the point, of the stationary point, you need to use the table concept lah. Cuma ada yang tanya mungkin the value selepas, maksud tu pun contoh X0 kan, selepas X0 tu nombor tu you ambil sendirilah, lebih better nombor yang paling dekat lah kan, because you only need to put in the table the sign of the first differentiation, iaitu dy dxu. You tak ambil value lah. Okay, so that you know the shape of the slope ataupun the gradient punya shape in the table of the first derivative test. Yesterday lah. Tak semestinya integer, perpuluhan pun boleh, perpuluhan ataupun pecahan. Okay, now today we goes to your second derivative test. Okay, dah masuk separuh dah. Okay, second derivative test actually is similar to what you learn in AdMath lah, for those yang ambil differentiation in additional mathematics. Cuma you doesn't see if your test is fail, then you back to the first derivative test. Jarang lah kat situ, dekat syllabus AdMath SPM tu tak ada. Sebab you don't have the first derivative test in your syllabus in your SPM. You terus second derivative test. Sebab you tak ada inflection point dekat syllabus AdMath lah untuk sekolah. But in metric ada. So we see on second derivative test. Okay, second derivative maknanya second order lah kan, of the stationary point. You have to differentiate sekali lagi. That means differentiate from the first order, because you already learn the higher order of derivative in 1.3. Okay, 1.3 after you learn your differentiation of your rule of differentiation. Okay, so kat sini if you differentiate, then the value of the second differentiation is positive when you sub the value of x. X you got from the stationary point lah when you equate the first order kan. So when you sub the value of x in the second order, the value is positive, that means greater than 0. Then the point said to be the minimum point exists lah. And then if you sub the value of x in the second order, the value is negative, that means lesser than 0. Then the point is to be said is its maximum point. Yang dua ni you similar lah, you dah tengok dekat for those yang ambil NMATS kan. Tapi yang ketiga ni, if your second derivative, you sub the value of x in the second derivative test ataupun in the second derivative function, you obtain equals to 0. Because if greater than 0, positive lah. Lesser, negative. But if equals to 0, equals to the 0, test dia fail. Test of second derivative ni akan fail. Kena tulis lah. Kat assignment pun sama. You will have in terms of when you sub the value of x dalam second derivative, dia akan sama dengan kosong. Test fail. Tulis test fail in bracket lah. Nanti kita tengok kat example how to write. So it could be possibly maximum. So kita ada 3 jenis kan type of stationary point. So it could be maximum, minimum ataupun inflection point. So kita nak cari tu, kita kena test fail tu kena terus pergi back use first derivative test. So note the first derivative must be used whenever your second derivative is equals to 0 or does not exist lah. That means you punya second derivative equals to 0, back use first derivative test. Okay, that is the concept lah. So we see for the example. Okay, so the example first, locate the stationary point. So you want the stationary point as the first part of the equation on the curve of polynomial power of 3 and determine the nature. So same lah. The question in first and second derivative test, dia akan tanya what is your stationary point, what is your nature. Cuma bezanya for today, you use the second derivative test. Nanti akan ada dalam second derivative test, you fail the test, you back to first derivative test. So akan ada jadual jugalah if you fail the test of second derivative test. So kita tengok pada soalan, cara dia sama as yesterday. The curve, you differentiate because the concept of stationary point, the first order must be equals to 0 in order for you to find the value of x. So madam write balik your polynomial curve, then madam differentiate. Yes, like yesterday lah, konsep dia sama. So dy dx, you differentiate, you got 12x squared, 3x squared you differentiate, 6x, negative 6x you differentiate, negative 6. Negative 1 you differentiate, 0. And then concept of stationary point, you find the first order, the derivative that you got quadratic, you equate to 0. Okay, so this one, if you want to straight away use calculator, can you put A12, B6, negative C negative 6. But make sure when you put in the factor form, okay, let's say you press calculator of 12, 6, negative 6 on ABC, you got half, you got negative 1. Then you reverse the factor, you got 2x minus 1, x plus 1. Okay. But you must make sure that when you expand the factor, you get the A of the equation from the earlier one. So for example, 2x times x, you got 2x squared. Tapi dekat atas ni A dia 12. So you have to put 6 in front. Itu syarat dia lah sebab dalam kita tekan quadratic equation, in the calculator, dia memang dalam simplest form. Unless you take out the 1266 as factor, dekat atas ni cara lain lah. Dia simplify, dia keluar dulu macam ni. Ni O And then 6 divide by 0 finish lah. So dia be left by the simplest form of the equation, 2x squared plus x minus 1. So dia tekan A2, B1, C negative 1. So dia akan dapat roots yang sama. The roots you tekan the A, B, C yang tak simplify pun you dapat jawapan yang sama. Yang simplify pun dapat jawapan yang sama. Sebab calculator dia akan in the simplest form. And the A is positive lah basically. So ini pun you dapat factor dia you terbalikkan macam ni. Tapi you tak perlu letak 2 kat depan. Sebab you check 2x times x, you akan dapat 2x squared. That's how you make sure your factor you kembang dapat atas. The same lah, common. Maksudnya yang you kembang tu dapat balik. Tapi kalau macam ni, make sure you put 6. Sebab pelajar tendency to terus tekan calculator from the beginner 12, 6 and negative 6. Boleh je, tak ada masalah. Tapi make sure sepadan lah bila you kembang balik dengan the A value of the quadratic is 12x squared plus 6x minus 6. So that you get marks for the factor. Sebab kita reverse kan dari calculator. Okay, so then after that, same thing, you find the value of y, point. So sub y equals to 4 half out of 3, 3 half minus 6 half minus 1. Okay, and you obtain the value as negative 11 over 4. Okay, same goes for negative 1. You sub in the equation y, you will obtain the value as 4. Okay, so you pun jawablah the first part. Stationary points is not 0. half negative 11 over 4 and comma negative 1, 4. Okay, then you want to know the nature. Now you use second derivative test. So second derivative test. If the question ask you to use the second derivative test, follow. Tapi kalau question tu general, macam ni sebab di bawah subtopic lecture second derivative kan. So kena gunalah second derivative. Nanti kat tutor, kalau dia tak cakap apa-apa, either or lah, you can use second or first. Tapi kalau dia sebut that method, you have to follow the method. Which one lah, second or first derivative test. Okay, so second derivative test, from your first derivative test, that means the blue color, you differentiate again. So second derivative, second order. So 12x squared differentiate, you got 24x. So one differentiate from the first derivative test. Okay, and then differentiate 6x, got 6. Okay, 24x plus 6. Negative 6 differentiate 0. Okay, and then you sub the value of x. So second derivative kita tak buat table lah. Kita just sub nilai daripada you punya point x half and x negative 1 in the second derivative function. So x half, second derivative, masukkan 24 half plus 6. So you will got 18. So once you got 18, you buat simbol. What you did in the lecture, in the tutor, kena samalah dalam you punya assignment. So got 18, buat tanda greater than 0. And then state the conclusion because this one got marks. And then use the method of second derivative lah. Then state minimum point exists. Okay, because of the second derivative greater than 0. Then you put the value of negative 1 in the second derivative function. 24 negative 1 plus 6, you got negative 18. So negative 18 is negative, so put the symbol of the inequality lesser than 0. Then do the conclusion, maximum point exists. Okay, that's the way how you do the second derivative test lah. Then you conclude the nature lah with the point. So does half negative 11, 4 is your minimum point. Okay, and then negative 1, 4 is your, this one I put in short form tapi dalam assignment kita tulis penuh lah, minimum. Ini min point kan. Okay, max point. Itu tak apa, you short form. Assignment penuh. Okay, max point. Okay, so that's how you get the second derivative test, the nature lah, because you doesn't see the test of second derivatives fail. Ni setakat ni ada value lah greater or lesser than 0. Nanti kita tengok bila nilai tu fail untuk the next example. So kita tengok pada question tu, example tu, examine the function for any stationary point. Walaupun dia suruh examine, tapi you still can see stationary point kan. So the word stationary point tu terus you bear in mind the first derivative is equal to 0 and determine the nature. So ada dua part lah, the same thing. So differentiate the function. Okay, this one actually you can separate lah. You got 1 over 4, x power 4. The coefficient is 1 over 4. The variable is x power 4. Minus 9 over 2 x squared. Kalau you nampak, okay. Kalau you tak nampak, pisahkan. Okay, and then f prime x. So 1 over 4 times 4, finish lah, you got 1. And then the power decreasing by 1, so x power 3. Negative 9 over 2 times 2, you got negative 9. Kalau you nak tulis 9/2 kali 2, tulislah sebagai jalan kerja. If you don't understand dan tak boleh nampak, buat. Kalau nampak, then you terus keluarkan 9 because the 2 will be eliminate. 4 pun sama dekat sini, 1 over 4 times 4. So 9, the power of x squared pun decrease by 1. So you got 9x. Okay, and then you equate the first derivative. That means x power of 3 minus 9x equals to 0. Okay, this one you can take out x lah. The common factor x ada. So take out x. You'll be left by x power of 2 minus 9 equals to 0. Okay, sebab kita nampak faktor variable yang sama lah kat situ. So we factorize. Keluarkan term of x. And the same thing, x equals to 0. Cuma kat sini, you nampak perfect square kan? Ataupun kalau you nak guna calculator, A1, B0, C negative 9. So you will obtain x minus 3, x plus 3. So you will obtain 3 stationary point of x lah. x0, x3, x negative 3. Okay. Dah dapat the critical point of x. Then cari pasangan lah because of point kan. So x0, you put in the function of y, 0 lah kan. Sebab dua-dua ada variable kan. So nak terus 0 pun boleh. Sebab you sub pun you got 0. Okay, and then x equals to 3. F3. You put in the function minus 9 over 2, 3 squared. So you got negative 81 over 4. You sub negative 3 in the function. You will obtain the same value because of the power is even kan. So you masuk positive, negative. Jawapan dia sama. Cuma x dia je berbeza. Because of the function is power of even. Okay, then write the answer for the first part. Stationary point is 0, 0, 3, negative 81 over 4, negative 3, negative 81 over 4. So that is your stationary point lah. Now you want to know the nature of the point. So you use second derivative test. Second derivative test ni dia tak leceh lah, dia tak payah pakai table kan. Kalau soalan tu general, dia tak cakap pakai test apa. So memang pelajar akan lebih suka guna second derivative lah. Okay, so you differentiate again from the first derivative, x kuasa 3. So you dapat 3x squared minus 9x, you differentiate, you dapat negative 9. Because x is power of 1 lah. So x tu akan decrease by power of 0. So dah dapat second derivative, masuklah ke tiga-tiga critical point you, x0, 3 and negative 3. Okay, x0, kalau you masuk pun, you will got negative 9 kan, because this one is 0. So bila terus masuklah, sini negative 9. But here is 0. Okay, so negative 9 lesser than 0. So buat conclusion bawah tu, maximum point exists. Sini ada markah, sini pun ada markah. Untuk assignment lah. The derivative tu you sum out lesser or greater and ada conclusion bawah tu from the derivative test. Okay, and then same goes for x equals to 3. So sub inside. Masuk 3 dalam ni. So you will got 3 squared minus 9. You got 18. 18 is positive lah, so greater than 0. Buat ni, then do the conclusion. Minimum point exists. Okay, bawah the symbol of 18 greater than 0. Sebab ni satu line kan, okay je. Okay, and then masukkan juga x equals to negative 3. So you akan dapat the same value because the power is even for x squared. So the same thing, greater than 0, and the point is also minimum point exists. Okay, lepas dah settle second derivative, barulah buat conclusion. The point and the nature lah together, because that got marks also. Okay, jangan tinggal macam ni je lah. So tinggal dengan point tu dan nature dia. So ini you kaedah, you cari point tu from the critical for X. Sekarang point penuh dengan nature dia. So here 0, 0, maximum point. And then 3, negative 81, 4. Sebabkan point dia sama, kita koma je lah kan. Negative 3. So dalam satu line terus sum up. Ataupun nak tulis satu-satu point sebelah tu minimum point pun boleh. Macam ni, ada koma, dan boleh tulis minimum point. Sebab dua point ni nature dia sama. Okay, then that is your nature of your 3.00, 3 negative 81, 4, negative 3 negative 81 over 4. Minimum and maximum. Okay, belum nampak lagi first your second derivative fail. So kita tengok dekat next example. Sama, find the stationary point. First part, so dy dx equals to 0 lah. And then determine the nature of point. Dia akan tanya soalan yang sama kan? Two part of the question. Only the difference is you use which test, second or first. Okay, so samalah y 1 over 6 x power of 6 minus 4 power of 5 plus 25 x power of 4. So your curve power dia tinggi. Higher order dia 6 lah. Tapi you still can differentiate. Cuma dia tak belajar lah polynomial power of 6 kan. Tapi differentiate kita boleh differentiate walaupun power dia tinggi. Okay, so dy dx 1 over 6 times 6 1 lah. So x power of 5 negative 4 times 5 20 and x power decreasing by 4 25 times 4 is 100 x decreasing x power of 3. Okay, and then you equate the first derivative with 0. Okay. Jangan tak tahu pula nak buat ni kan. Masih boleh walaupun kita tak belajar lah kuadratik yang, polinomial yang tinggi. It's not quadratic, it's power of 5. Tapi kita boleh keluarkan term yang sama iaitu x lah. So the power lowest is x power of 3 kan. So take out x power of 3, you be left by 2 because index 3 plus 2, 5 minus 20 x because 4, be left by 1 and then 100. Still can solve. So inside is quadratic lah that you can use your calculator. So you use calculator for A1, B negative 20, C 100. You will obtain the same roots that is in your calculator x equals to 10. Bila you dapat satu root, jangan buat satu factor je. Buat still dua factor because quadratic kan. Tapi you have the same root. So x minus 10, x minus 10. Macam ni kita boleh buat macam ni lah. Because the x minus 10 is being squared. Lepas tu you dapat satu root je dekat you punya calculator. That is 10 only lah. If you press the quadratic part. Kalau yang x kuasa 3 ni kosong sebab this part is equals to 0. So x equals to 0. Sebab selalu you reverse. Sekarang dari factor you equals to 0. Okay, same you got two critical points. So cari pasangan dia. So x equals to 0. Y. You sub. Kebetulan semua term ni ada kosong. Kosong lah kan. Boleh je buat macam ni. Sebab dia kosong kan. And then x10 you sub inside. 1 over 6. 10 power of 6. Minus 4. 10 power of 5. Plus 25. 10 power of 4. You will got greater value but in fraction lah. 50,000 over 3. That is your y. So sama. Buat dulu sum up the stationary point. You got two stationary point. One of it is 0, 0. And then 50,000 over 3. Selalunya point tu biar dalam fraction jangan letak dalam perpuluhan. Sebab perpuluhan tu kadang banyak kan. So point put in fraction. Proper or improper. Okay, and then nak tahu nature, buat second derivative test. Second derivative test. Samalah. Differentiate the second order. So differentiate the second order from x power 5. You differentiate, you got 5x power 4, 20 times 4, negative 80, x power of 3, then 100 times 3, 300, x squared. Because kuasa 3 turun. Sebab polinomial dia besar, jadi bila dia turun order pun masih lagi besar lah sebab dia kuasa 6 kan. Turun first order kuasa 5, turun second order kuasa 4, masih lagi besar lah. Okay, and then masukkan S0. Okay, so you masukkan in the first order. You masuk kebetulan semua ni ada X kan. So you masuk, tiba-tiba you dapat the first derivative equals to 0. Jangan pula buat macam ni tau. Jangan pula buat macam ni. Mana ada kosong lebih besar daripada kosong, lebih kecil kosong. Itu salah. So you got 0 on the second derivative test. To test you fail. So kat sini tulis. Dapat je equals to 0. Test you fail. Untuk second derivative lah kan. Then you have to back use ni tak payah tulis kan, Madam yang tulis. So that you know, back use first derivative test. Yang warna pink ni kita nak guide lah you buat. So back use first derivative test, gunalah jadual. So buatlah jadual, since you ada 1 point je kat test ni yang kosong. So table you ada 3 kolom je lah kan. So x, dy, dx, slope. So ada 3 kolom. Okay. So apa yang perlu you buat adalah letak x kosong dahulu. And then letak siap-siap sini kosong kan. Supaya you nak tahu tanda slope dengan dy dx tu positif ke negatif. So ambil nilai from 0. Nilai kanan ni lah, maksudnya dalam number line yang paling dekat 1 lah kan. And then ke kiri paling dekat negatif 1. So masukkan 1 ni bukan dalam second derivative sebab back use first derivative test masuk dy dx dekat sini. Bukan second derivative. Tu kena ingatlah. Nanti kalau tidak pelajar akan masuk dekat second derivative test. You dah fail second derivative test. So you masuk dekat dy dx. Sebab kolom ni pun dy dx kan. So you masuk negative 1 kat sini. Nanti you pakai calculator. You akan dapat sign dia negatif. So sign here negatif. You masuk 1 dalam equation ni. X kuasa 5, kuasa 4 sampai kuasa 3. Sign dia you dapat positif. You tak perlu tulis value. Okay, lepas tu you dah dapat dy dx. Shape tu mudah lah. So negatif turun tangga, 0 static, positif naik tangga. So you tahulah point 0, 0 ni sebenarnya minimum. Kan? Sebab nampaklah dia punya bentuk curve tu senyum. Kat sini tak tulis pun tak apa. Nak tulis dan tulislah. Nanti senang lah kan. Nak buat dekat conclusion with the point. So minimum point. Tapi belum habis buat lagi tau. Sebab ada lagi 1 titik, jangan berhenti pula kat sini sebab titik you ada 2 critical point x kosong dengan x 10. Baru buat x kosong. X kosong tu buat tiba-tiba second derivative fail. Kenalah buat first derivative. So ada lagi 1 point buat x equals to 10. Masih dalam second derivative Okay, Hazel noted. Phoebe dan Takifah. Okay, x sama dengan 10 masukkan tapi masih masuk dalam second derivative test. Jangan terus buat first derivative kena check dulu. Okay, so masukkanlah 5, 10 kuasa 4 dalam second derivative, 80, 10 kuasa 3 tambah 300, 10 kuasa 2. Daripada you punya second derivative punya function lah. So bila you kira ni, you nampak macam nombor. Kalau sini senang, kosong kan. So masuk kosong ni habislah semua kosong kan. So yang ni you masuk nanti you tekan calculator. Sama juga you end up dapat 0. Okay, so test you fail lah. So you pun tulis test fail. So kenalah patah balik guna first derivative. So kat sini mana tak tulislah back using tu Cuma tadi saja guideline. So terus buat jadual. Bila test fail je terus back to first derivative test in order for you to know the slope of the nature lah. Maksudnya nature tu slope lah kan. Nature awak punya point. Besar pula. Okay, so buatlah jadual ni. Okay, and then put the point. Point dia adalah 10 lah kan. So letaklah 10 di sini. Lepas tu sama, 10 tu kanan dalam number line 10, nombor paling dekat 11 lah. 10 kiri, nombor dia adalah 9. So masukkan dalam dy dx punya function ni lah. Untuk 9 nanti tekan calculator, you akan dapat sign dia. For the value is negative, yang ni kosong lah, terus buat kosong. 11 masukkan dalam first derivative punya function, dapat positive. So slope dia akan jadi negatif turun tangga, 0 sekata, positif naik tangga. So ini adalah juga minimum point. Sebab bentuk senyum. Lepas tu jangan lupa buat conclusion, sebab ada conclusion markah with the point dengan nature. Ini hanya test sahaja. So does 0, 0, point you dua-dua pun minimum. Jadi boleh sekaligus lah. 50,000 per 3. Okay, is minimum point. Okay, boleh. Lepas tu mana tambah lagi satu bila dalam test tu, satu tu okay test dia. Maksudnya pakai second derivative okay. Satu titik dia back to first derivative. Macam ni dua-dua kan. Nanti you assume pula semua back to first derivative. Tak. Kadang-kadang satu point tu dia okay for second derivative test. Satu tu dia dapat kosong, then test dia fail. So kita tengok contoh yang seterusnya. Last ni. Ni mudah je. Dia bagi dia punya function. So teruslah differentiate. So ini function dia. Nombor 1, nombor 2. So differentiate dapat dy dx 12x kuasa 3 tambah 6x kuasa 2. So sama, nanti you equate 2f kuasa 3 tambah 6 kuasa 2 equals to 0. Differentiate dah differentiate equals to 0, then factorize lah the common factor that you can see, x squared dengan 12, 6 boleh keluar sifar 6. So you will left by 2x plus 1. Okay, and then your roots is 0 and also negative half. Lepas tu you cari pasangan dia x0, y0 lah sebab dua-dua ni ada variable x kan. And then x negative half, you find the value when you sub, you akan dapat negative 1 over 16. 16. So you do the conclusion. Stationary point is 0, 0 and also negative 1, negative 16. Sebab kadang-kadang titik kosong-kosong tu origin, dia boleh jadi minimum, dia boleh jadi maksimum, dia boleh jadi inflection. So jangan assume kosong-kosong je, titik inflection ke titik maksimum ke minimum, tak ada. Dia tak ada konsep kat situ. You kena tahu nature dia by using second order derivative test lah. Jangan assume terus titik tu adalah titik inflection selalunya. Jangan. Okay, so kita buatlah second derivative test. Second derivative test. Differentiate. Second differentiate second order. Daripada first order dapat 36x kuasa 2 sebab 12 kali 3. 6, 12x. Lepas tu, you masukkan you punya titik in the second order. Kuasa 3 pula. Okay, so masukkan x kosong. Second order punya differentiation. Kebetulan semua kosong kan dia punya term. So, bila you masuk kosong lah kan. Ni kosong, ni kosong. So, kosong lah. So, test you fail. Okay, test you fail. So, buatlah jadual first derivative, back to first derivative test. So x dy dx, jadual dia ada tiga benda ni lah in your row. Slope. Cuma point dia satu je. Okay, then masukkan sini kosong. Samalah. 1 dan negatif 1. Okay, then masukkan dalam first order ni 12x-3 tambah 6x-2. Kira nanti sini akan dapat sign negatif. Sini kosong, sini positif. Okay, then you dapat the shape lah. Turun tangga, ni sekata, naik tangga. Okay, so this is minimum point. Okay, belum habis sebab ada satu point. Point tu kita nak tengok kita fail lagi ke test macam tadi. So kita tengok pada titik x equals to negative half. So masukkan dalam second order 36 negative half squared plus 12 negative half. Bila you masuk dalam calculator, you will obtain 3. So okay lah, test second order tu tak fail lah kan. Jangan assume semua point fail tau. Bila dapat kosong saja test tu fail. Then back to first derivative test. So 3 masih positif, so letaklah equality sign greater than 0 untuk second derivative test punya cara. Then bawah conclude. Since that greater than 0, minimum point exists. Then barulah you buat conclusion untuk nature point you. You ada 2 point. Dua-dua point tu kebetulan minimum point. Ni dapat daripada first derivative sebab test fail untuk second derivative minimum point. Untuk yang negative half you dapat minimum point daripada second derivative. Test you tak fail lah. So dua-dua nature dia sama, so you boleh koma lah as the point. Then you write is minimum point. Dah, that's all. So nampaklah kat situ kan konsep second derivative test. Kalau you dapat equals to 0 when you sub the value of critical point x, then you have to back to first derivative test. Barulah you dapat tahu nature tu minimum ke maksimum ke. Dalam contoh lecture ni dia test fail dia dapat minimum. Ni pun sama, dia dapat minimum. Tapi nanti dalam tutur mungkin akan dapat maksimum, mungkin akan dapat inflection point based on your table when you sub the dy dx. Okay, kalau you dapat negatif maksudnya turun-turun inflection lah kan. Kalau sini positif negatif, so akan jadi senyuman tu akan jadi masam lah kan. So that is maximum point. So that's all for 1.4. So kita dah habis topik differentiation. Is that okay? Boleh faham kan?
Okay, madam.
Alright, so kalau boleh faham, kita end lah awal. So kalau tak ada apa-apa, thank you class. Boleh left Jimmy.
Thank you, madam.
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 Thank you.